All right, Shalom, Shalom. Barakatah Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles, elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers. All right, who are pushing this work, bringing forth the testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shai in these last evil days. Shalom to you. All right, and this lesson I want to go into this term here, Zephyr. All right, or yeah, Zephyr or Zephyr plan. Okay, and we can get straight to it because Esau is using certain tactics, to weed people out, ultimately to, put people in categories. And I firmly believe, that they'll use it to, pretty much come after people. Um, and the things that they're going to be using is your data, using your data against you. Okay. And what the elites have been doing, okay, is pretty much using figureheads on social media. Okay. Um, Alternative news, all the top influencers to put people in categories based on what you like, what you post, what you comment on online. Now we understand that, we pretty much just bring the truth, you know. Some brothers comment here and there on, on posts, but mainly we just, we bring the truth, and that's pretty much, all that's really needed, you know. You got so many Israelites in different spaces, commenting, posting, and soon is going to be used against you. Your data is going to be used against you. But this here, I want to point this out because Esau, he's trickery. He's tricky. Scriptures talk about the wiles of the devil, and this is the only precept I have for this lesson so far. It might be a relatively short lesson, but I want to bring this out. Okay, the Zephyr plan. All right, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read two of these. All right, because the last one, I don't think it's that much relative to the topic, but the elite have most of these people trapped. All right, and through emotionalism, stirring people up, stirring up strife, and a lot of people are already compromised because when the hammer comes down, they're definitely going to use every tool they can to prosecute, you know, wrongfully oppress, you know, especially if you're speaking against, the state or, the establishment. Okay, because that's where it's going. Brothers in the chat talking about, how, ICE, all right, yeah, ICE, so, but talking about how, they are essentially a Gestapo. They are the, likened unto the German police, and I believe the elder Amon Gabar mentioned in a short of his that they already are the boots on the ground, and he kind of reflected on 2020, and he was saying, imagine, if they were there in 2020, what kind of ground they would cover, you know, and that's what we're going into, another, pandemic, this time is going to be enforced, you know, probably door to door, and that's what's happening now, door to door, siege. But this is dealing with more of, immigration and, people illegally being over here, you know. But we can definitely, with prudent minds, kind of foresee the future, all right, or foresee what's coming. This devil will stop at nothing, all right, and then they want to take control in that manner. So You know, the how can you say the elite have been using these platforms to bait people into conversations, using bots, using all of these things so they can set you up. You know, those are the times we live in. All right, and they can prosecute you based on what you post on the internet. You know, and they're gonna eliminate free speech. So, and who knows? At one point, they might even use that. You know, the ICE. All right, to go after particular people. You know, I know for sure in Second Ezra 16:68. You know, at some point they are going to target Israelites. All right, they are going to target those who believe in His faith. All right, so how much more? You know, these regular peons who just talk about you know the corruption. All right, and you know what they need to do to for impeachment. And that's the thing too. You got that guy Nero, who knows he might get impeached. Who knows? You know, who knows how far we'll be into the chaos, the war, and the domestic teism and the generated crises, and then all right, they'll justify the means of just taking over everything just so they won't be impeached or you know. So, Salaki, if I'm all over the place, Lord willing, you understand. You know, there's a scripture here. I'll get straight to the point, right? The arm of God, we're definitely going to need to be circumspect in the times that we're coming into. All right, we got to understand that it is a war. All right, and you got to give up this life because, I mean, that's something that Esau is going to come after. All right, anyway, okay. And if you already, in a pilgrim state of mind, it's not going to matter to you, right? Ephesians 5:15, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Scriptures say perilous times shall come. We live in those perilous times, worst times ever. You know, Esau using the law, his law of injustice to go after people, okay, framing mischief by law, right? So we're going to see more of corruption, more of these evil people, these wild men have their way. And then the love of many waxing cold, you know. So we got to be on guard. We got to see all the way around. We got to see what's going on all around us and be well informed. All right, not as fools, but as wise, because the fool is not going to redeem the time. He's not going to buy back the time. He's not going to be knowing. He's not going to say to himself, well, I need to know what's going on in the world. You know, a lot of people are distracted with their phones, their smart watches, you know, their flesh, all of those things are distractions. Okay, and Esau is pretty much, he's designed things to be that way, right? That's why this technology is the way it is. That's why you have this online platforms, okay, and they're designed to distract you and keep your attention span short because of the things that's going and the real things that's going on in the world. They'll wake you up, but this these minor distractions, they'll know you right to sleep. So redeeming the time because the days are evil, wherefore be not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is. And the will of the Lord is to bring what? Division, right? To bring, and the Lord said it himself, I come to bring fire, and what will I if it already be kindled? When you read it in the NLT, it says he wish it would already burning. So that's the Lord's mindset about this place that we live in. All right. So wherefore be not unwise. And so we're wise. We know we go to the house of mourning rather than the house of feasting because that is the end of all men. And men are destroying themselves because they're not in a sorrowful spirit. The scriptures say, be ye afflicted and mourn. All right, call upon the Lord. Call upon the Lord, man. You know, um, these times are important to be spiritual, right? Put on the whole armor of God, right? It says the armor of God, Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. The armor is what? Being spiritual, being prayed up, fasting, and sacrificing these things that hold you down, you know, casting off this world, and detaching from the fashions of the world. All right. Be occupied in wisdom, be occupied in prophecy. Okay. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. And we're going to read some of those one of those things, very short. But it speaks to what Esau is doing, and have been doing. Here it says, wow, methodia, much like methods, right? So his methods are very tactical, very covert, you know, covert meaning that is done secretly. It's not done out in the open, right? So it says here, from a compound compare method, right? Traveling over, i.e., travesty, trickery, right? And it's trickery. So you see a favorite um, influencer, whether it be Andrew Tate, Alex Jones, all your top influencers, all the alternative medias, right? Esau is like data farming, seeing who likes what, seeing who don't likes what, right? Categorizing you, or putting you into categories, and really setting this thing up so he can come after who he sees fit, or who to attack dissent, those who dissent, those who try, who speak against. All right. And he set the stage, man. And the scriptures tell you, he's wiser than Daniel. All right. And Daniel was very wise. Okay. It's just cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. All right. And this is what you get when you read this here, Zephyr plan. I just simply asked it, what is a Zephyr plan? The term Zephyr plan does not refer to one single officially acknowledged program. It's a name that shows up in different contexts, and its meaning depends heavily on who is using the term and why. Below are three main ways it's commonly meant, from most to least credible. All right, Cold War was used. Here it says intelligence context, most grounded and declassified uh, intelligent language. Zephyr was used as a code name or placeholder in multiple projects and contingency plans. Zephyr itself means a gentle or shifting wind. All right. Intelligence agencies often use such terms to describe influence operations. There you go. All right. What do you call? Now you got the most famous people they call what, influencers. All right, they're famous in their own right because they got a great following, millions of followers. All right, but the second one speaks more to the topic, I believe. So it's a psychological shaping. It's shaping your mind, your psyche. All right, with certain ideals, planting seeds in people's minds. Gradual destabilization. All right, in this context, so it ain't like right away. It's gradual destabilizing. Okay. In this context, a Zephyr plan would imply slow, indirect pressure rather than overt force, cultural, informational, or economic manipulation. Yep, people are being manipulated. Stats, um, all sorts of things that they put in place, ideals, okay, right? Steering outcomes without obvious fingerprints. And this is the big one right here. Steering outcomes without obvious fingerprints. See, think soft power, not invasion. All right. And so that's what's been happening. An infiltration, okay, of many groups. All right. Remember COINTEL, how you say it? COINTEL Pro. All right. Counterintelligence program. You think Esau ain't running that, especially with all the information that's been going out, all the truth that's been going out, you know? It says important, there is no single declassified master document titled Zephyr Plan that lays all this out in one place. It's a descriptor, not a formally published doctrine, okay? So it says here, modern conspiracy, alternative research usage. It says in modern discourse, especially online, Zephyr Plan is sometimes used as a catch-all label for alleged elite strategies involving social fragmentation. Here, we can look some of these up. All right. It says here refers to the breakdown of connections within society, right? Dividing society up. You know, the elites play on the poor, and they've been playing on the minds of the middle class and the poor, planting seeds in the middle class minds that the poor is the one that's eating all the resources up when whole time the elite have been hoarding all the resources to themselves and just feeding people breadcrumbs, and they now have used figureheads to sow discord among these people. And now you got people fighting online, going back and forth with motherfucking bots and all this other stuff, you know? And that's why it's important to be careful what you post, because they can use it against you. All right, that's the whole point of this. They can run psychological operations on you. You know that we had a situation, not we in particular, but in here in America, you had that thing with that Jake who posted about Iran and the DHS. All right, flipped it. Used AI to say that they were going to go after Trump because I think Maduro put a price on his head or something like that. But just showing you how they can manipulate, the data or the information that's already out there, pictures, all of that type of stuff. We're coming into that time because all the gloves is going to be off. Esau's lost the information war. The truth about him fully is out. He's been revealed as a wicked, and now where he has to gain ground, he has to gain ground and cover the world, all right, with his deception. The ultimate deception is what? That whole beast system, all right? And now what you have is a soft power move, but things have been going progressively more intense, more violent, all right? They're going to use their agents and they're going to uptick, the pressure on these people in society. It says leading to divisions based on factors like culture, race, or economic status. They're already doing that. Scientific racism, they've been using that to their advantage. Okay, bringing out data, bringing out false data, bringing out data, biased data. All right, to turn people to have people say, man, you know what? These are useless eaters. Using only the black woman's face, with a bonnet on, all right, when they talking about a social issue like, food stamps or SNAP. And then now the big thing now is fraud. Okay, they're using fraud. All right, all right, and who knows what they're gonna stop? They're not gonna stop at nothing. All right, they're gonna do. They're gonna go all the way. Okay, so Salakia. It says this can result in poor relationships among groups and a lack of shared values because the elite need people to be divided because the more people who are together and who know and they have a common goal, the more they are in trouble, you see. So they have to divide and conquer. All right. So economic pressure is another one. And in many ways they can use this, but let's just see. Let's see what it gives us. All right. Refers to the financial strain and challenges faced by individuals, communities, or governments, often resulting from factors like shifts in demographics, labor markets, and resource availability. See, it can lead to, increased demand for services and create cycles of financial instability. All right. I think it gives us. All right. And then this can be used for many different purposes that feed, kind of brings about their agenda. There's definitely an economic or financial strain on the people right now. So there's pressure. There's a pressure there. Digital surveillance. Okay. And this is speaking to the point I'm making here in this lesson, you know, about the elite having people trapped, using your data against you eventually, especially if you're part of a social movement. They can put you in a category and they can red force, blue force you. You know what I'm saying? Um, they can put you on a list. They can blacklist you. They can do whatever. All right, these are the times that we're in, but it's important to like understand this, the possibility of this. All right, because you know what you're up against. All right, and you'll be more wary of just letting any type of information go out there about you, about your family. And that's why you know we shouldn't be really posting. Every now and again I delete certain posts because I don't care about the world. Like I don't care about the attention and the validation and all that type of stuff. It can get you. It can definitely get you, and that's what social media was created for, to give people a certain buzz, a certain feel that instant gratification. That's why you got Instagram, and that brings about pride, and that brings all type of behavior, ego, and all of that type of stuff of empty fulfillment, or false pseudo fulfillment, you know. And we're just vain creatures like that, man, and they play on that. So digital surveillance is one of the big things they're using now. Okay, behavioral conditioning, uh, boy, and they're planting seeds in people's heads. Okay, um, they even setting up. I'll use an example. Red pill. They can set up a group of, and I'm just using them as an example. I'm not going to use no particular example, just the whole movement itself. They can change your behavior, based on that, bringing in the culture of, manliness and but they've done it. They can bring in all of these different things to change your behavior. All right. Okay. Which, the red pill had its ups, and of course it has its downs, but it wasn't really balanced. Okay. All right. And I really didn't, I paid somewhat of attention to it, but and you can use certain things to your advantage. Getting back in that workout culture. Getting your manliness back. You know, things of that nature. It says gradual erosion of sovereignty, and that's what's happening too. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. All right. In this usage, Zephyr again implies control that feels like a breeze, not a storm. See, people are being controlled a certain way. This framing is interpretive, not evidentiary. All right. Okay. Let's see. I'm thinking evidence, or let's see. Let's see what it said. It said relating to providing or constituting evidence, right? I mean, but there is evidence. I mean, of course, the elite never let you know this is the tool that they use to, you know, during a certain decade, they've been using this type of thing. I mean, they've been using it more now because now they can tap into anybody, how people feel, how people think, you know, and they can exploit you based on the data that they collect from you. They can categorize you based on the data they can collect from you. Lord willing, this makes sense, man. It's just some claims borrow language from real programs, COINTELPRO, MK Ultra, mass surveillance, but extend them beyond documented proof. Okay. Well, let's see here. Environmental engineering confusion, least likely. Occasionally, people confuse effort plan with wind energy initiative, climate or atmospheric modeling projects, corporate renewable energy roadmaps. These are not intelligence or control programs, just branding overlaps, right? So historically, a type of intelligence strategy, quiet, indirect, deniable influence, plausible deniability. Right? They wipe their hands clean, excuse me. All right. So when someone says Zephyr plan, they usually mean one of two things: type of intelligence strategy, quiet and direct, deniable influence, speculative or speculatively, excuse me, a theory about long-term elite control operating subtly rather than violently. All right. And if you think they're not using, if you think they don't have control opposition in the world to manipulate your emotions, to data farm your belief or what you post in, whatever, all right, you're not in the game. Okay. The elites they're using tactics, okay, and you'll think they're in your favor. And really it's there to weed you out. So yeah, I mean that's all I wanted to touch on, you know. Again, be circumspect, be aware of the wiles of the devil, methodia, because he's lying in wait, right? Because I do have notes using your data against you, things like ChatGPT, Facebook, Instagram, and other platforms, right? When Esau comes down with the hammer, it'll be strategic and precise. He can basically use that data to come against you, you know. And I said, I just have a theory myself, ICE, which the brother Moan Gabar, he did mention that these could be the boots on the ground already. So for martial law, and that's why they putting so much money in that budget, you know, to finance this thing. All right, it's being financed now, the martial law, and I honestly, I'm so into that these might, these the Gestapo, troops, Esau is definitely going to use them for that martial law, for implementing a nationwide curfew, for summary execution, to administer, inoculations to detain those who resist, all right, who dissent, you know. Um, I say here, ICE is the secret police. Things will escalate. What you post, like, share can be used against you. All right. And, again, Those, and I did have a video. I'm gonna just let you hear it. Let you hear it. All right. Let's see here.
That the entire Great Awakening was a psyop headed by controlled opposition figureheads designed to reveal any dissidents to the pro-government, pro-Israel movement of America.
See? All right. To identify dissidents, to identify dissent. All right. Rebellion, treason. All right. And that's what they're using it for. Okay. All right. And then what they're gonna say these people are not for the betterment of what we deem as the greater America, or the future of America. Man, it's gonna get, look, it's bad now. You know, you think the president was childish now? Wait till something goes bad, because again, they don't want to get impeached. They know they're breaking the Constitution, and they know that people are if it's a word, lawyering up. They're getting their lawyers. They're filing their suits. All right. And they got to just come with full force in order for them to, evade, like, you know, like the fugitives they are.
Be crazy. Anyway, have you ever heard of the Zephyr plan?
And that's what we're looking at right now. So that's where the idea came from, right? Using all of these influencers and people. Here, let me
Berg was a researcher with a White House insider source, as well as intelligence officials. David was Jewish and Zionist and was horrified in 2019 after learning of Zionist plans through White House memos and other internal documents.
Told you that the entire Great Awakening was a psyop headed by controlled opposition figureheads designed to reveal any dissidents to the pro-government, pro-Israel movement of America. Be crazy. Anyway, have you ever heard of the Zephyr plan?
Allegedly, Dave Goldberg was a researcher with a White House insider source, as well as intelligence officials. David was Jewish and Zionist and was horrified in 2019 after learning of Zionist plans through White House memos and other internal documents describing two projects, Project Pogo and Project Zephyr, a two-stage plan. For Pogo, they would utilize TTID, Tag, Track, and ID. They would use this for
Right. And that's what's happening. Tagging, tracking, and identifying. See? Right under your nose.
dissidents, nationalists, patriots, anyone who would pose a long-term threat.
Right. So if you are watching these channels, if you are informed, if you are awake on these issues, they want to tag, they want to track you and know exactly who you are. See? That's the world we're in. All right.
YouTube gatekeepers like Alex Jones to create a space for alternative thinkers. They were all
right, and all they're doing is lumping you up in a category. Bam, got you.
Agents paid to put out truthful information to tag, track, and identify the people who are watching and interacting, basically using alt media influencers as honeypots. They then created databases of America.
That's it. You stick your hand in the honey jar. You grab it for honey, and you can't pull it out. Can't pull your hand out. Got you. All right.
Who were awake. Remember, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate, and Tucker Carlson all have CIA daddies. Their targets are anti-Zionists, anti-Semites, Christians discussing synagogue as Satan, Muslims, any Goyim who won't conform, and anyone aware of and opposing Zionist world government plans.
See, and I'm going to leave it there. Okay? I mean, there's more to it. But yeah, man, it's up in 2026, man. So Lord willing, that was edifying. Until next time, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemel Shai, Ba Shem Rakakwadash, double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers.